Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we are going to be doing an impromptu meta breakdown because this weekend is an MTG Arena Premium Play-in event. As you see on the screen, it is Qualifier weekend. It's your first chance to use those play-in points that you might be accumulating from the events. Or if you finish top 1200 last month, you would have got 20 play-in points that you can use for the event, or just spend your golden gems and play in the event itself. So this weekend is the qualifier for the qualifier, and it is standard best of 1 on Saturday. You have to get 7 wins in this event, I think, 6 or 7. But you got to go on a nice little streak, and we're going to look at the top 5 or 6 decks that you might want to take with you to the event this week. We're going to get this data, as you can tell, as always, from Untapped GG, what you see on the screen. Companion tool that runs alongside your Arena client, tracks your win rates, loss rates, all that. We do these meta breakdowns every week for every format on MTG Arena. If you're new to the channel, I do this for best of 1, best of 3, all the Arena constructed formats. There's a playlist, so if you want to subscribe to the channel, if you want to stay up to date with the best decks, the top meta, how to get Mythic, all that, make sure to drop a subscription. It's free and helps out the channel. If not, just drop a like and comment. Also helps out the channel. So normally we look Platinum to Mythic rank, but we're going real competitive this time. So we're looking Diamond to Mythic. We're looking top of the top, September 30th to October 7th. So really the first week of those people who get Mythic right away. Like I got Mythic this month in 2 days, or like a day and a half really. Playing mostly Explore and Historic, but I had some Standard mixed in. But these are kind of the go-to decks, and we're going to look at them. And we're going to jump in first. Mono White Aggro actually has surpassed Mono Black Control in terms of win rate percentage. This is a 67% win rate deck, over 120 games of Magic. So Mono White was very popular in past Standard. What do we get in this set? So let's zoom into that and take a look. You still have your 1-drops, Hopeful Initiate. You're playing Hotshot Mechanic, and you're like, but Joe, I'm not playing vehicles. Well, Wizards hasn't given us many 1-drops that are playable. So this is a 1-mana, 2/1 that can attack in and do a little bit of pressure and damage. It also will trigger Hopeful Initiate, depending on your curve. Got Guardian of Nubenalia, a new card from the set. Dominaria, 2-mana, 2/2 Enlist. So basically you can tap another creature that could normally attack, so no summoning sickness. It adds on power to Guardian of Nubenalia. You can scry when you enlist, and then you can also discard a card to give it indestructible till end of turn. The discard effect plays really nice with Sarah Paragon as we kind of skip ahead, because you can cast a bunch of things from your graveyard each turn. So anything 3 CMC or less, which happens to be the entirety of your deck outside of other copies of Sarah Paragon. So nice little combo there. You have Intrepid Adversary, which is an Anthem effect for your team. Also a lifelinker that can help you race. Thalia to tax your opponent, and First Strike can help you trade in combat. So Adeline, which is just, a must-answer creature. It plays around Wandering Emperor because of the vigilance, and kind of pushes and forces them to either kill it, or you just go really wide and kind of beat your opponent that way. You have Anointed Peacekeeper as a way to tax your opponent. So think of this as the elite spellbinder of the new set. You're going to want to hit stuff like a Meathook Masker, perhaps, Sheoldred, maybe an Invoke Despair. Just kind of get rid of the card that's most pressing to you, advancing your board state. This deck's looking to try to kill turn 4 or 5, depending on your curve. Your only removal in the deck is Brutal Cathar. It's going to do what it can to hopefully slow down your opponent enough. That way you can just push in the remaining points damage. And the mana base is very simple. You just got some Ajanjos in here, as well as planes. So very basic mana base in terms of basic lands, as well as just wild cards to spend. So good option if you want to go aggro. Mono Black Control. This is probably the deck you're going to run into the most, and varied versions of slight tweaks along the way. So this version here is got a 62% win rate. I'm actually going to show you a version I've been playing as well, that I was able to get 7 wins in an event with, and I'm probably going to take, I already qualified for the best of 3 event next weekend. So I'll be taking it that weekend to play in the tournament in a best of 3 version. So the decks kind of vary in terms of the configurations of the number of instant speed removal spells between Cut Down and Infernal Grasp. You can see anywhere between 2 to 4 copies of each in the decks. The decks will also have varied amounts of Bank Busters. Again, 1 to 3 I've seen in some versions. The Lilianas, I'm currently running 2. Some versions are running 3. It's a card that's bad if you're expecting a lot of aggro, and good if you're expecting more control or kind of mid-range grind fest. The Shieldred is very powerful. We've seen some versions also go 2 Sorns, 1 Sorn's kind of in there. And then you have Invoke Despair. I highly recommend don't play Field of Ruin. Play either Roadside Reliquary as a single copy or the colorless line that lets you animate a vehicle for 3 mana because it plays really well with Bankbuster. Like, I forget the name off the hand. Both of those are better options. There's no creature lines. There's nothing really to hit, and then you're going to have a Field of Ruin against like basic planes, and you're not going to be able to do anything. So play actual utility lands. Play 1 to 2 only. Play 26 lands. Some lists are playing like 24. They're playing like 4 copies of a colorless land, and they're trying to cast Invoke Despair, and then you just laugh at your opponent while you're casting your Invoke Despairs. So I'll kind of show you my list. So I'm 7-2. I went 7-2 in an event. I lost to Esper Control, and I lost to Mono Black on the play. And then I'm also 4-1, and then I lost to Mono Black. So I am 11-3 with this list. I'll go to the event because it's the most recent version. So I'm doing a 2-4 split between Infernal Grasps. Evolve Speaker is very good in the deck. It's your card advantage. I'm on 2 Bankbusters, 2 Lilianas, 1 Soul Transfer, 2-2 split, Shieldred and Sorin. A lot of these matchups are going to be very grindy, so you want to have that card advantage. Plays well with Liliana as well, and it gives you lifelink options. And then the one card I'm playing in my list is Junji, the Midnight Sky. So this is kind of a mirror breaker card I've been finding. Mono Black's not playing any exile removal. Some of them will even go as far as playing the Black March to gain life. But Junji dies and lets you reanimate your best thing. So if they kill, a lot of the game is going to just be you trading blows back and forth with your opponent. So if they kill your Shieldred, you reanimate your Shieldred. If their Shieldred dies, you can reanimate their Shieldred. Or like you can get back a Graveyard Trespasser or whatever it may be. I actually had a game where I won by just dealing 2 damage to my opponent and making them discard 2 cards. They're at 2 life, so you kind of get them that way there. So there's a couple different options you can look at. I really like Junji, so I've been really impressed. The one thing I would say is if you are anticipating a little bit more creature-based aggro, and we'll see a couple different versions, I wouldn't be against going up to a 3rd copy of Cutdown or even potentially another copy of Soul Transfer. I would shave probably... It would honestly probably be like Bankbuster, maybe. Just go down 1 because you need to play to the board a lot in best of 1. So that would be my consideration if you're anticipating that type of field. If you're anticipating more mono black, play the 2 Bankbusters. Next deck is Salesnia Enchantments. By the way, I didn't mention this on the onset. I'll paste all these deck lists so you can get them. They'll be in the video description. And then if you want to just use Untap to get this type of information, the link is in the video description as well. You can click it and then just do copy to MTGA. You'll just have to set up an account. It's free for pretty much all the functionality that you need for day-to-day stuff. So Salesnia Enchantments, this is a deck that's playing a bunch of cards that take advantage of playing a lot of enchantments. So Generous Visitor puts counters on creatures you control. Commune lets you basically have a 1-mana draw effect. Weaver Harmony doubles your ETB effects, so double draw card, double chapter 1 and 2 of Mashiko. Notably, chapter 3 you can't double, there's nothing to flip. Circle of Confinement can exile 2 things, Borrowed Time can exile 2 things. And ideally, how you want to try to win is like a big Kami, you throw on the backside of Catilda on its own. Some of these will play Hallowed Haunting. I think that card is very good, and I would play it over Mashiko. This version's a little bit more linear and aggro, but the Hallowed Haunting lets you play a more grindy game. This version, you're not going to really have card advantage outside of the Spirited Companion. I do like the Hallowed Haunting version better, but if you want to see the Hallowed Haunting, I can link a video. I played one with Sarah Paragon and Hallowed Haunting, and I like that version a lot. I'll link that one in the video description as well. And then we go to Mono Red Aggro. This is a 59% win deck, and it is playing a lot of creatures with haste that want to hit hard. So you got the Chick, you got the Dragon, you got Bloodthirsty Adversary that can flash back Lightning Strike or play with fire. Rodda's Firebrand plays fairly nicely with Reckless Stormseeker that lets you get around blockers, stuff like that. Squee is a recurable threat, Chandra for card advantage, Thundering Raiju is your top end, then Kumano as a pump, ping, and exile kind of effect, and then a couple hammerhands to get around blockers, and then kind of surprise haste a creature or just give it the added power you need. You're really hoping to never see Shieldred with this deck, but outside of that, you can put some good pressure on your opponent. And then lastly, we have Gruel Agro. So another red-based, red and green, I guess in this case, but a little bit chunkier version of an aggro deck. So you have 1-drops in Pack Leader that gets bigger, Kumano that pumps your team, some Strangles as removal, a Safekeeping for protection, Beast Caller gets bigger, and then can redistribute its counters. Firebrand, as we previously mentioned, a card that can get around blockers. Yavimaya Iconoclast is a really impressive card I found from playing it. I actually like this card better than the Beast Caller. Its standalone is much better. It's a better late draw. Beast Caller, you really want on 2. You hate to draw on turn 7. But Iconoclast, 2 mana, 3/2 tramples, good stats on its own. 3 mana, 4/3 trample haste is even better for the turn. You got some Storm Seekers and Squee, as you mentioned, but this version is also playing Rending Flame as a 3 mana deal 5 that can help clear Shieldreds or stuff out of the way. You got Halanas and Raijus on your top end cards, and then a copy of Volatile Arsonist, which just hits real hard into your opponent. Some Sokuzans, Bazejus, and then you got your Pain Lines. So pretty good mana, all things considered, in this deck. So that's pretty much it. Let me know if you have a secret deck or that you're willing to share with the community. And let me know how your runs go if you're able to get to that qualification stage. We'll do this again next week if you're looking for best of 3 decks. Or like I said, just tune into the regular, subscribe. We go through these meta lists each week so you can stay abreast and stay attuned to the top decks, the best options week to week as the meta evolves, as new decks get discovered, and kind of go from there. In any case, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one and stay safe out there.